Welcome, everyone. This is Our Souls Speak. We're in constellation in divine space. We convene with our souls to listen, share, and explore. Our Souls Speak, a podcast where together with our guests, we embody the soulful principles of oneness and sourceness. Welcome to this episode of Our Souls Speak. I'm pleased to introduce you to our guest today, Paul Martin Strode. Paul is a wildflower essence producer, a remote healing and plant spirit healer. Paul, welcome to this episode. Thank you for being our guest.
Thank you for inviting me on.
So I'm curious, when did you first discover that plants had spirits?
Oh, good question. When did I discover that plants had spirits? I think sort of officially when I started to make flower essences in 1999. But I remember when I was very young, maybe, below 10, I think I had some behavioural issues when I was a kid. I'd get some pretty hot under the collar. And my mum and dad, when I was in that place, would say, go and water the garden. And I remember watering the garden and feeling this appreciation from the plants. And of course, logic says, well, they were thirsty and you give them water. But I found great solace in that moment. And at that time, dare I say, King Charles inspired me to start speaking to, not personally, individually, but he spoke to plants when I was younger. And so I found myself at the end of my garden speaking to my little garden and my plants. And my dad would say to me, what are you doing? I said, I'm doing what the king does. I'm chatting to the plants. And so in a kind of naive, kind of innocent way, that developed more and more into getting more and closer to plants.
So, why don't you share with us we're going to do today?
Yeah, so I call it, or I say we, because it's me and the flowers, me and the team, call it the Wildflower Oracle. So if I wind back that I've co-produced with nature, a bunch of flower essences. You'll see them in a sec. There's 28 there. And I think on that 28, there's only 2 that Dr. Bach has, or Dr. Bach, which is honeysuckle and wild rose. When I started to make all these essences, the internet wasn't up and running. I didn't know about essences at the time. And I thought, well, if I make these essences and I'm starting to hear all these voices in my head and start to find out what all of the ingredients are from my experience, this is my journey. I'm pointing at the flowers that are down there. They'll be up on the screen in a sec. And so this is very much my journey and my healing journey, going through all of these flowers, just as a lot of producers do when they start making essences, is that they're attracted to what they need work on. So I've ended up with a whole box full of essences that I didn't know if they actually worked, because no one else is producing foxglove or moon daisy or primrose in the way that I have. And so I sat there and I thought, I can't read anything about essences. I can't read any background because I've got to try it first. I've got to see if they blimmin' work. I've got to see that. I can't just be selling placebo. The placebo works. I can't be peddling that. And the voices and the connection that I'm having with nature, I need to make sure that I'm not going mad and making it up. So I thought, how do I test these guys? So I put them all in a box and I take them into my clinic. And the cranial fields that we're working with, not the fluid, the cranial fields started responding favorably to certain remedies in my box that I had in my clinic. So, cut a long story short, 7 years I tried experimenting with them, putting them on the body, seeing what the body wanted, and the body's intuition started to choose which flowers that they would like. At that time, Dr. Bach and everyone else was prescribing essences and not necessarily using intuition. Through the cranial work, the hands-on healing work, the body was saying, I want this, I want that. So after 7 years of going, okay, well, look, these remedies are corresponding with certain aspects that the individual's experiencing. What else can I do to test them? So I took all of these remedies, or some of these remedies, to Dr. Emoto, messages from water. So he would freeze the water, put the essences in, freeze it, and see if the crystalline structure was influenced by the water, by the essence. I went to another guy who did aura photography, where you put your hand in and it picks up on the meridians. That was quite unstable, very colourful, very dramatic, but too unstable. But the best result was Kirlian photography. It's a certain type of photography that uses energy to to see differences in substances and the resistance. That was the best. That was the best result I had. So from that, I packaged it into Wildflower. I put money into it, got the website, started going to shows. And from that process, that intuitive process that I found for 7 years in my clinic, I started to allow this intuitive bridge to happen between the remedies, the flowers, and the individual. That started to build into the Wildflower Oracle, because you let us consult the Oracle, let us go to the Oracle and ask what essences do we need, as opposed to me prescribing them, but your intuition guides you. And that's what we're going to do shortly, is to key you guys, or get you guys to key into your intuition. Ask a question is to hold the question in your mind, and not, if you can, be drawn to your favorite flower, your favorite color. Actually, don't even make a choice. Just be drawn to the spirit of the flower itself. And I would really warmly encourage you to connect deeply, not just with the physical and the beauty of these things, but to the very spirit. So as you sit there and you open up to the flower menu that's coming, allow that energy to come forward as if you are receiving the choice, as opposed to you making the choice. Are we setting that intention? It is for you guys and your group, and how best to express yourselves.
Well, it feels as if we're all in the same pillar of light. There's only one channel, and we're all in the one channel, right? So, well, my guidance is fine. It's fine to go ahead as a group, but that's what I'm hearing. I'd like to hear from Dill and Greg.
Yeah, I would like to go as the group.
Yeah, good. Barry, you guys all right with that?
Group is fine.
Great, perfect. So, great. So the intention is for us in approaching the Oracle is to see if they have a suggestion. No one's saying it is or isn't, it's right or wrong. It's a suggestion for you guys, right? You just get drawn with regards to the appropriate question that we have, and then see which flowers that are drawn to you, and they may still apply to you individually within the group. But let's ask the Oracle to make suggestions of the appropriate flowers for you as a group. And then translate it as that.
Let's do it.
Right. So you guys can see a whole menu there, can you?
Yes.
Nothing else. That's it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So get yourselves in that space when you're ready, and then let me know once you have all done it, and then we'll talk about the flowers. Take your time. Let them reach to you. Everyone done there?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Okay, sorry, I wasn't sure if I didn't want to push anybody in that direction. Okay, so shall I leave the flowers up so you can guide me with regards to what flowers that you were drawn into pertaining to your question?
Yes. Sure.
Okay, Lorna, would you like to go first?
Well, mine came in when you were talking earlier. Mine's bluebell, native English bluebell.
Bluebell. So in accordance to your question about what flowers may help you guys to express and communicate what it is that you're doing, bluebell is the ultimate flower essence for expression and communication. Bluebell adapts to any language. So if you're French, it will talk French. If you're German, it will talk German. If you have a kind of swagger or kind of twang in the way you kind of come across in life with a bit of attitude, as a bit of So does Bluebell. Bluebell seems to draw out the playful, the communicator, the talker. It was my second flower essence that I made, and when I made it, I had talking in my head like you wouldn't believe. And then I learnt about Bluebell that there's an old folklore about Bluebell, which is that if you fall asleep in a bluebell wood, you'll wake up mad. You're not waking up mad. You just listen, you can just hear all the spirits. So Bluebell is an amazing flower for communication. I would just seek caution, maybe this is my relationship, that if I connect with Bluebell when I'm on presentations or stages, it becomes a performance. I ended up singing New York, New York the other day as I was strutting along and it was Bluebell. It got hold of me in this jovial kind of way. So Bluebell encourages us to communicate, but with fun and joy.
That's great. That's perfect. I wonder what the old folktale is. If you fall asleep in the bluebell field and you're mad already. Maybe it'll make you less mad.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's perfect. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, and who's next? Greg? Yeah. Did you choose a?
Sure. Mine is on the third row, the second from the right.
So a third row, second from the right. So it's third row down, second from the right, and it's a purple flower. Looks kind of like an angel, right? Left to the right of purple foxglove. Is that right?
It's the kind of lighter color one. It has like a partner. Where's your from the right? The second from the right. The one next. The yellow flower is the furthest right. Oh, maybe you're looking at it differently.
It's the white crocus you're looking at.
Yeah, the right.
Can you see my little cursor spinning around there?
Keep going to your right or the other way.
This way?
No, the other way.
This way? This way? This way?
That one. Yeah. That
one. You guys are choosing some beautiful flowers. This is Snowdrop. Snowdrop is the flower of the goddess. It is one of the first, if not the first, flower of spring in the British Isles. And, when you go through winter up in wherever you are, but up in the Northern Hemisphere, it comes about January, February, where you think, oh my God, where have you gone, nature? Where have you gone, goddess? And then the snowdrop comes out and Snowdrop says, hey, I haven't gone anywhere. You weren't abandoned. I was just sleeping, but I'm here for you. I'm here for you to remind you to rekindle your connection with the Great Mother herself, that you weren't abandoned. That I was just sleeping. I'm always here with you. So there's hope at the end of the tunnel. There's brightness, and there is this promise of renewal of spring that Snowdrop brings us. So it's almost like, in accordance with the question, it's coming out and giving birth to what you guys are doing and bringing this light out of the tunnel. And it's almost like we are the ones that felt rejected, but actually nature is showing us that we're not. And maybe through your bridging, your workshops yourself are trying to show that this connection is really there. And Snowdrop will help oil those cogs to help with inspiration and new ideas, and there's something very bright and white and light about her. But I love that fact that we were, she was just sleeping. We weren't abandoned, and to rekindle our connection with our spiritual connections. Nice. That's Snowdrop.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Barry.
Yeah, so initially, my system overrode your instructions, and I was drawn to the flowers I was drawn to. And then I remembered, relayed the instruction and softened. And then the flower that wanted to let itself be known came forward. So thank you for that. That was a really special, precious gift. So it's the one two along from Greg's. It's the one in the middle of the same aisle as Greg's was in.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay. May I ask, what was your first one? Just as a...
Bluebell.
Great. Okay, good. So that's another confirmation there too. So this is Red Archangel. I take a breath when I say Red Archangel because of my own journey with Red Archangel. Is that sometimes Barry, and this is my story. I'm not saying that this is necessarily what is my story, is that I had a lot of pressure, a lot of anger, as I said earlier, when I was chucked out in the garden to water the garden to cool myself off when I was a kid. But I had a lot of pressure, a lot of anger built up inside me to the extent that I didn't quite know what to do with it. So it may not be necessarily anger, but we're looking at pressure. We're looking at pressure that builds up inside of ourselves that not necessarily we know how to handle it. And if we go through the front door, the whole thing's going to explode. It's that type of pressure. And so you kind of tend to leave it. You don't go there. You kind of brush it under the carpet and it never goes away. And so what Red Archangel said to me, come, Paul, we're not going to go through the front door. We're going to go through the back door. And we went through the back door and we took the pressure out from the inside. And I promise you that edge of pressure for me, which was anger, has gone. I mean, it was so pressurized that I very rarely got into fisticuffs when I was a kid because I remember feeling it then and I felt I could do some damage to somebody. Luckily I didn't, but Red Archangel came along and I don't feel that pressure anymore. So pertaining to your question, it may not necessarily be anger, but pressures that build up that not necessarily one knows how to navigate through or needs some support navigating through. And Red Archangel, like I says, is don't kick down the front door. Don't blow the blimmin' doors off. Come through the back door. And it was another way, actual way of approaching that pressure.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, Dilraj.
I in the beginning I had I wanted to choose the yellow one in between Greg's and Barry's, actually.
How hilarious! You guys are all on the same level.
I know, and I just gravitate. Is that dandelion in the top, on the top row in the middle?
Yes, that is dandelion.
Yeah, and I gravitate towards dandelion.
So the first one is St. John's wort to the right of Red Archangel. And so that was the first one. So were you attracted to two?
I was, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so pertaining to your question, because it might have got a bit more personal now, but pertaining to your question, so those two, and it's absolutely fine to choose two. They're very much kind of on the same level. So say if we go with dandelion first. Dandelion is about potentially too much on your plate, and that's maybe parked up in the digestion aspect, and maybe relating to your work is that maybe there's a lot of things that need to be processed and they're kind of getting chopped up. Dandelion says, hey, remember to take the weight off your shoulders. Remember the sweet smell of summer, to lighten up and to allow those parked up stuff to process. And St. John's wort is very much on that same thing. It's a hypericum, so it's really good for depression, but it's not necessarily in that way. But what it's good is for lightening up. Might have been taken all too seriously. I say that with respect because it is serious. But the flowers teach us to remind us, particularly the Fae, to lighten up, to be silly, to be joyful. Actually, it's probably one of the biggest spiritual teachings that we're not taught is how to be silly and laugh.
Yeah.
And so St. John's wort is probably the most grounding remedy I've ever made. Particularly this one. This is peripheral St. John's wort. It literally has a square stem. And when I made it, I didn't know it had a square stem until I examined it after. But lots of cube energy kept on coming in, which is for me is earth. So pertaining to your question, there is an aspect of lightening up, move through the stuff that's parked up and take that pressure off your shoulders and to lighten up and find the joy in this process that you guys are are on. And you know, I'm hearing from the Wildflower Oracle, invite us all into your space, because they feel what you do and they understand what you do. And very similar to what we're trying to do, which is to bridge ourselves back to nature. Actually, we haven't separated. We just got to remind ourselves. Anyway, that's St. John's wort starting to talk. So that's the Wildflower Oracle. You see how it works and how it moves. And so what we would do is then we would then make you up a remedy of those essences. And then I would ask you, or I'd give the remedy to you. And I'd say, Dilraj, in these remedies that you've chosen and you've got it in your hand, how long do you need this for? 2 weeks. So we put that on your label. Do you need this in the morning? Do you need it in the afternoon, in the evening? And then how many drops? So what the Wildflower Oracle is doing is taking me out of it, prescribing it completely. No, it's you with the Wildflower Oracle, the plant spirit healing, have chosen your flowers and your dosage and your duration, and then we make that up and send it out to you. So we're charging you to take responsibility with your connection with the remedy. So say it's 2 weeks, you write that on the label. Then I would encourage you to say, do you need this in the morning? Yes. How many drops? 4 drops. Okay, you write that on the label. Do you need it in the afternoon and evening? And then you ask for how many drops. And then what you've got is your minimum dosage for however long it needs to give you the flower support that is completely intuitive, that is completely connecting you, bridging you with the individual flowers themselves, because they've come forward to help you. And this is the teaching part. Just like I've gone through all of the meanings of the flowers, that's the teaching. The guide is your intuition. And then the healing is actually connecting to the spirit of the flower. It's medicine. It's healing. And this is ancient. And this is what we're trying to remind ourselves. It's not just St. John's wort. It is the spirit of St. John's wort. And the essence isn't the herbal. It is the energetic signature. It's its life force. The energetic signature is what we're taking. And they're like keys that unlock these tightnesses in our auric field. And in my remote work, the pressures or tightnesses in the auric field seem to then compact or influence the function of the cell. And there you get dis-ease. So these guys are like tonics, keys to undo these things in our auric field. They help us with our spiritual progression. And as we all keep saying, gets us rooted back to the heart of nature. Well, surely all our healing is.
Thank you so much, Paul.
My pleasure. Well, thanks for joining that.
To receive more information about our guests and future events, please visit our website at OurSoulsSpeak.com. We are one.